putting together so I could talk about some assignments that we've been doing about e-NABLE. We've been improving our e-NABLE assignments in classes, which I can show some of. And hi, Kayla.
Hi everyone.
So this is a triple meeting. This is the e-NABLE education plus e-NABLE new members plus bionic design all meeting together. And at about 12:40 today, we'll have a presentation from a student team at Brandeis about their work on the NIH 3D print exchange, which has been accelerating. It took us a while to get this started. It really only started in February. So we're about a month in to getting the team moving. It was through one of the e-NABLE Lumio grants. And it's a unique configuration of students. One has been on the board. There is not exactly a board, but working with leadership team across e-NABLE on understanding pain points since September. And that student is in a credit-bearing class. And now they're project managing two other students that are working on the NIH's 3D print exchange. And they'll show us what they're driving towards, but they've got the definition for some collections, which I think will aggregate the best practice models to start from, and then move the rest of the device catalog into a community design section. And I think we'll be able to push that update on April 11th. So they'll show some visuals, but we're working closely with the NIH team and providing them content. Some of it we can do, some of it we need their developers to help. And the project's moving at a different rate than we were hoping because of the nature of the new world we live in. But I think
Mm,
we're navigating it pretty well. But this is also a new member meetup meeting and an education meeting. So I thought we could start just going around the room, hearing who's here. And I wanted to share also some stuff that we're doing in the classroom, some like e-NABLE assignment stuff.
that's great.
Kayla, I'm not sure we've met.
Yes. We might have messaged once on the hub, but yeah, I'm Kayla. I'm from Ottawa. I'm in Canada right now. And I've just started the chapter in the past couple months, so we're just getting it going.
Super cool.
Nice to
And
meet you.
are you part of a community maker space? I forget.
No, so right now we're working with the University, Carleton.
Cool.
Hmm.
Yes. Okay. University of Carleton. Cool.
Yeah.
And what's your ecosystem like there? What I don't know, like the flavor of the imagination of the community and like what brought you to e-NABLE.
I actually found e-NABLE about a year ago, just through a friend had sent me a link and said, check this out. And then I printed one of the devices to test it out and then started the chapter, I think, in January. And we were trying to kind of get into the university space. And recently we've just started to try to partner with one of the clubs that's doing some prosthetic development at the school already.
Cool, cool. That's great that you already have that.
Mhm.
And so how many people do you have involved locally?
So right now the club that we're working with has about 50 members. They're working on kind of a prosthetic design for competition. And then for us with e-NABLE, I think our goal right now is recently we were approached by the Winnipeg chapter, and they're working with the Saratoga chapter on the Uganda coalition. I'm not
Very
sure.
cool.
So we're hoping to help out there.
That's awesome. Like getting real clients in the field.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually, did you say you were working with the Uganda Coalition?
We're hoping to start working with them, but yeah, I was
Great.
curious if any of you have gotten information about that.
Well, I've met with them several times. I'm very excited about what that group is doing, and I am
Hmm.
urging them to get other groups and chapters into the pipeline. So it's really good to hear that you're looking into that. I'd be very interested in your feedback when you have some about how it's going and how we might be able to help.
Sure. Yeah. So far, it seems like they've gotten quite a few people on board just from the Excel spreadsheet that I've seen.
Cool.
But yeah, I'd be happy to talk more about that.
Great.
Super cool. No, and I think this is the whole thing we're trying to do in a lot of the education spaces. We have all these makers uh, in universities, and then we have a lot of recipients in the developing world. And how do we bridge the connection between those two? And I think it's hard when national healthcare systems don't support this the same everywhere. And there's definitely some deep pockets of need that it's great that we've got some boots on the ground to connect to.
Mhm.
Our student chapter has been up and down, more and less active. And we were just getting off the ground in the fall. And then this spring, a bunch of them are graduating and applying to jobs and are less active now. So hopefully next spring we'll get another chapter, and we might reach out to you for some best practice as we get those students rebooted. They're going to have to find people to talk to.
Yeah, for sure. And Ian, where are you located?
I'm at Brandeis University, so we're just outside of Boston.
Okay, okay.
And the bonus, our one of our nice things is we do have the Boston ecosystem to play in. So, there's like 100 schools within an hour of us.
Hmm. That's great. You're not too far off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my team runs the maker spaces. So we have a lot of digital fabrication technology that we try to integrate across the liberal arts, business, engineering, and a lot of it ends up in social policy as well. So I think what we're really good at is quantitative stuff, but also community engagement projects. So we're trying to do some of the information design for how you navigate and find devices.
Okay.
And in the past, we've made about a dozen hands for kids, mostly overseas. And I think one of the biggest challenges for us is we didn't have a great community partner like that initiative. So our students were using the hub, and for each hand they made, they probably made 50 plus outreach calls. So there was a lot of back and forth to try to find clients, which was a challenge. And we never had a client that we worked with on more than 2 cycles. And what we'd really like to do in the future is find clients that we can repeatedly get feedback and refine the designs more and more.
Okay. Have you had any need from local people or mostly overseas?
We haven't.
Okay.
We had like a couple US, but they weren't local. They were still like remote in the US.
Okay.
And I know that there are some organizations in Boston that we'd like to work with more. Uh, but a lot of those organizations are still using like traditional prostheses, are still working with medical establishment. We do have the founder of our club went on to do a medical degree in prostheses. So I think when we restart in the fall, we want to reach out to some of those connections and see if we can get more like iterative feedback loops going with local clients.
Hmm. That's great. Yeah.
But I could show a little bit of what we've been doing this semester. Let me get one more image here. So we still use this in coursework to think about open source assistive hardware. So I could show a little bit of what that looks like. I have a screen here. Cool. And let me see if I turn this into a full screen thing and then get the Zoom to share it. Oh, I need, can I have permission to share my screen, Sarah? Thank you. Okay. So I've shown some of this before, but we're just launching an engineering program. So we are an R1 research university with a liberal arts college smushed together that traditionally hasn't had engineering in the middle. So we have an undergrad program that has every type of major from liberal arts to research sciences to business to anthropology and classics. And I went here as a student. I'm having my 20-year reunion next month. And I studied economics, philosophy, and film. And then I worked in industry and learned about printing in the jewelry industry and came back and built our makerspace ecosystem. But what our exciting moment here is in 2023, they approved an engineering curriculum. And so we've been building out the infrastructure to launch a new engineering undergraduate major that will be an ABET certified engineering science program. And so my team built all the infrastructure to teach these first classes in an active learning classroom that John's come and visited and Vivek has come and visited, and everyone is, we can always set up a tour and we have lots of toys. And we try to do useful things with all of that technology. So this is what that first cohort in engineering looked like. And my team literally like puts the items on the spreadsheets, works to get the power configured, brings the box when it gets delivered, assembles it, and then builds the pedagogy and the workshops to build this into courseware. So we do the whole thing like soup to nuts. And we decided that when we were launching engineering, we looked at all the big problems in the world, and we looked at what Brandeis was founded around and what our core values are. And we decided that we wanted a design spine around an inverted curriculum. So we would have the theme of design to repair the world throughout our major as we launch it. And rather than having people do hardcore math for 2 or 3 years and simulation and modeling, and then get to fabricate things, we're going to start day one with fabrication to get students hooked and motivated to understand the underlying principles behind it. And I go even further in my courses where we want people to learn CAM before CAD. So I don't know how you learn to draw if you don't know the limitations of the material in the machine to draw around, right? Like all design requires, we need some sort of limitation that we're designing around. So in the future, other faculty may take these programs into designing water systems or working with refugee crisis. Like there's lots of interesting problems we can focus on. But while we're launching and prototyping this, one of the things we started with was open source assistive hardware. And e-NABLE was the hook for a lot of us into assistive hardware. This is the first hand I ever made. So I met John in, I think it was 2013 at MakerCon, the first Maker conference in Santa Clara at the Oracle headquarters with the big boat outside, which was an amazing experience. And you passed a couple hands around that were very well built. And we thought like, wow, we could really like help launch our makerspace around this. And we opened our makerspace in June 2014. So like about 6 months, I think, after we saw this project, we prototyped it, we built some stuff around it, and we opened the doors. We're going to turn 11 this year. I can't believe it. It's been a long run. But this was the first hand I put together, and it took me 60 hours because I was using a MakerBot Replicator 2 Gen 4 with the MK2 extruder gear when they were an open source company. And I was using MakerBot Desktop. It wasn't the best. It had supports everywhere. And this was like a entirely PLA Cyborg Beast model. And it was made, I was working on it so much at home. I put it down one night on the, like beside me when I went to sleep, turned off the lights, and it was glowing. And I thought like something was wrong, like with my brain. It was using, the blue part was glow in the dark PLA before that was like marketed. It was like a test batch. I didn't know it was glow in the dark. And the strings are the window blind cord before Jeremy sold the kits. I cut it out of my window blinds at home to get the cord. But still one of my favorite models. So now we're working on this NIH 3D exchange to try to make it easier to sort the models out and find the best practice. And our student team will show up in about 15, 20 minutes to present some of what they're working on. But we've worked with clients. We've had an active club that's been more or less active over the years. Pandemic really is when we shut down for a while, and it's been hard to get the culture going. So we've been trying to use this for other things. And so when we were starting up this engineering program, this was one of my first assignments that I designed. And this is not the best designed assignment. And now we've run it 4 times. And one of the cool things we're doing is before we launch our program, we're test piloting things. So we've hired some amazing faculty like Professor Jonathan Krones, who's helping us with the best pedagogy design possible. So last semester, I handed this course off to him. He ran it and then handed it back fundamentally better. And then I'm handing it back next semester. And our first real cohort will get here in fall 2026 to graduate in 2030 with an engineering degree. So we're piloting stuff before people get here, but we're using e-NABLE. And so for me, it's not just about like assembly and fabrication. It's like 2 big underlying design principles with this assignment. It's like, first, a bias towards doing something positive with your engineering skills. One of our themes is like, you don't have to choose between having a career where you make good money and doing positive things in the world. You can do both. So if we can have that bias towards doing something to repair the world from the first class. And I teach graduate classes at the business school. Don't really teach undergrad. This is my first try teaching undergrads. And then the other bias here is in engineering, everyone both creates documentation and consumes documentation, and we want you to create better documentation. So this is really about critiquing the documentation, which leads us right into like, how can we sort information better? And I'm gonna skip and go back here. So this is what the class actually looks like in that classroom when they're doing stuff. This was a thing that we did that we should contribute back that we haven't yet. We need to put this on the hub. So one of our amazing TAs, Vincent, used Rhino to take that cuff. You know, this piece in the background here. So we're doing Phoenix Hand v3 in the first 2 cohorts, and we've pivoted that. I'll show why. But we use the Phoenix Hand v3 where the official instructions that we're critiquing and reading through tells you to like have very warm water, boiling water, to melt around that cuff. And that's the cuff in the background. But our TA, Vincent, took that cuff and used Rhino to drape a surface over it and made a positive negative. So we didn't want to have boiling water in our classroom. We're not really set up for that. So this is a PET, like 90+% infill block. And we have soldering stations. So he's using a soldering reflow iron to heat up a PLA print. Now, the way that PLA absorbs heat energy and the way that PETG absorbs heat energy is very different. So the PETG barely gets warm and the PLA gets droopy. So it'll droop into this. And then we push this positive into the form. And it's way safer. And we can't spill water on everyone else's projects or burn someone next to us. So this has been a super safer way. And our cuffs get way more round. Like the actual resulting shape of it is like very nice at the end too. So
that's an innovation.
Yeah, so that's the thing we got to share back out. And that's the type of thing that would be great. We're working on like, how can we check box? Okay, I'm making a Phoenix hand. What are all the resources in there? And the students will talk about some of their thoughts on that. So then this is it's just a 1-week activity. So we meet for 3 hours twice a week in class. We'll use 2 or 3 of those sessions for this, where students print all their parts and then they trade some colors across teams. And then they go through the assembly process and they do a written guide and a video guide, and they can find their own versions of which guides they're using. And then they write a reflection on what are the best and worst aspects of those guides, what works well for them, what doesn't, what they would improve. And then they suggest something they could do to modify the platform to make it different, adding a second thumb, removing fingers for weight, adding a feature. And so now that we've been doing this assignment for a while, this is what it looked like this year. So I really believe in transparent assignment design. And so we're using a tactic from Marianne Winkles, who was here for a while, leading our Center for Teaching and Learning, and it showed me this thing called the TILT framework, the transparency in teaching and learning. So we want to both shout out like why we're doing this, the purpose of it, the skills you'll learn. And in addition to this assignment, we talk about what does an A, B, and a C grade look like on this assignment. And they write this as a reflection. Oh, Yeon's here. Our student team is starting to show up. I'm just talking about our assignments leading up to your presentations. And then they're mostly, if you look at the grading, following the guidelines is most of it. And they submit this as an assignment on a website. So they're all building personal websites using Bootstrap templates and hosting on Git pages. So they leave with a personal portfolio, sort of like how in like Fab Academy, you're getting a portfolio out of it, not just like the credits. And then only a small part of it is the actual grade. And now we've had 4 different faculty put their hands on this assignment and tweak it. And partially this is to help with accreditation, but also to help with accessibility with first-gen students, with students that don't self-identify as engineers yet. And it's exciting to see how this is going. So we just had this like a month ago. And one thing we changed in this assignment is we went back to the Phoenix V2 from the Phoenix V3. So we thought we wanted the coolest, newest versions of things. But for us, it's also about like empathy for design, sharing open source designs, and being able to wear it yourself as the students in the class has been really powerful. So the V2 is great because it has a way to try it on yourself in a way that a V3 is like very difficult to try on yourself. And then what we've done so we're producing 8 to 10 hands per semester. We've been trying to send these to partner institutions all over the world as like touchstones, either to get funding or to show their clients what's possible. So as we collect these hands, if you know people that want hands that aren't custom fit to anyone, but that are teaching devices or things to show a menu of what's possible, we'll package these up and send them around. I've been able to get rid of about half of them that way. We still have about half that we're able to share, or that we show for our like tours, or show our students like what the assignments are like in this class. And again, all PLA, not the most durable. I wouldn't necessarily offer this to a client, but I think it's a great teaching tool and a great to show the menu when you sit down with an actual client. Like we can customize you something like this. And the colors have been even cooler. And then just to show where this heads, yeah, this is the output of what the students end up building.
Nice.
They have to make and share their own project. So half of the semester is gaining skills. That hand is the last documentation skill. And now they have to go find a problem and do it. Yeah, and then release something open source. So they worked with the creator of a golf club hand from the device catalog, and they adapted that golf club hand to ride a bicycle. So a group of student athletes had taken this thing that was made to hold a stick and turned it into a bicycle clamp. And one of their main innovations was this coupler is TPU. So this is a carbon fiber print into a PLA socket with a TPU bracket with a lot of surface area in between, so that when you fall off, it disconnects. It's like gooey. So the failure state's pretty good. And they have to release a Dazuki guide. So they don't just, their files are on Thingiverse, they present their process, and they release open source tutorial so other people can grab it. So that's a lot of how we're thinking. Like, even if we're not working directly with clients right now, because we don't have the student club with the time and energy to do that, we're building it into coursework. People like Yewan are doing interesting field projects around information design and metadata schema and how we sort and find information. So I think there's so many interesting projects. And then I know other groups are doing things like mechanical testing or designing matchmaking or making a map. And then eventually we'd like to have this be, you start working with clients around designing prostheses and you realize what they need is a better doorknob. Like, how do we design a better built environment is like the next level question we're trying to reach to.
Fantastic. I know you want, and I want the students to present, but I have a few questions.
Yeah.
You mentioned Suzuki documentation?
Dozuki, Dozuki.
Dozuki.
Yes. It is the
And
back end for Instructables. Anytime you've used an Instructable guide, that's like the architecture that's on the back end. And it's also kind of nice for like either a club or a classroom or a makerspace, because you can have one account that people submit their guides to, and then you approve them and make them public from that like organizational account. So you can curate and collect them.
Well, maybe you could put a link to that into the chat.
Yeah, I'll put a link to our Brandeis Dazukis.
Fantastic.
And here,
that was a great presentation, Ian. Thank you.
And this is, I've been geeking out mostly on this side of things. Like, how do we find more ways into this open source conversation? Okay. I'm going to share my screen again with a billion tabs. Sorry. I think we all live like this now. But so here is what it looks like as a Dazuki.
Cool.
And so, I mean, it looks very reminiscent of like a
sure
Instructables guide that we're all familiar with. But if we go back up a level, I can select this properly. I have my Zoom controls floating here. So this is our, and I'll put a link in.
Perfect.
This is our Makerspace's instance of this, but you could get one too. And like, for example, other things we have here, one of the original things that we did a lot of was printer modifications. So this was a way to take like a cheap printer that now there's lots of good competitors, but this was taking the CR10, which is something like the larger version of the Ender 3, and giving it a direct drive modification, which now they do in-house. Now Creality makes a great version of that. But we have a big culture of everyone consumes documentation, so everyone also produces documentation.
That's really interesting and important.
But happy to answer any other questions about this. And our students will be getting here in another 10 minutes. So we've still got like 10 minutes to have introductions or more conversations.
Well, I don't recognize Xavier. Hello there.
Hi, sorry I was late because I didn't realize you already shifted maybe to daylight saving time.
Well, that's right. And we're all struggling with it. We're trying to get rid of it, but here we
Yes,
are.
because for us we change on Sunday, so I didn't know, so I missed the first half hour. Sorry.
We were just talking about some classroom assignment design. We heard from Kayla about a local chapter. We're both at universities, and we'll have a student team presenting shortly.
Sure, thanks.
And Xavier, have we met before? Where are
No.
you from?
I'm from France, and I have worked on a project for a motorized version of the kinetic hand that I will be
Cool.
presenting in 3 or 4 weeks.
Cool.
April 18th, the next design, bionic
Well,
design
that's
for.
exciting. I'm putting it on my calendar. That's great.
That's beautiful. What's the embedded board on or driving those servos?
Sorry?
What embedded board? I saw a little PCB in there driving the servos. What are you using?
Yeah, that's an ESP32S3,
Cool.
and it's driving the servos, and there's a little software firmware running on the ESP, and it's driven by an application, an Android application, and you can remotely control it with the voice. You can give it orders like close, open, and yeah,
Very
pretty
cool.
it's fun.
Have you
Yeah.
released the files for that anywhere,
Yes,
or is it
yes,
all in-house
it's
still?
yes, it's on GitHub. Everything is on GitHub.
Cool. Would you be willing to share a link in the chat
Oh,
here?
sure, of course. How can I do that? I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with Zoom at all.
There should be a chat
At the
button.
bottom, there's a chat button.
Okay. Yeah, I'll find it. Let me copy
That's
that.
great.
That's
Let me
super
put
cool.
that. Yeah.
The voice activation is a really fun feature.
Yeah, I'm using the Google Voice Recognition.
Yep.
So the code is pretty easy because that's an API that you can use for free. So let me grab the the
And it
URL.
looks like that's a kinetic hand architecture underlying it.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is because yeah, I found it was good looking and
It
pretty
is good
nice.
looking.
When I don't want to take all the time talking about it, but one drawback is it has to be a little big if you compare to my hand.
Yeah.
To have all the servos. So its purpose is not really to be used by somebody as a hand, but it can be a platform to experiment with things, to experiment with sensors, for instance, because on the new version of the board, which is not this one, there are a lot of connectors that allow you to access the extra inputs of the ESP board, and also you could have sensors for the current input of the motors. So you can adapt and change the firmware and try sensors or try different things. It's more lab lab stuff than thing to
Love
be
it.
used by somebody.
I really like how you tied in the orange servo stickers to the TPU joints. It
Yeah.
looks great.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And I've 3D printed the what do you call these pulleys? They
Pulleys.
have double
Oh yeah,
they have
cool.
dual diameters because the way to pull is not the same length of the way to push. I've replaced the TPU hinges with zero force hinges that are
Cool.
3D printed, but of course it needs a bring back wire because otherwise the finger won't unfold by itself. So that's the kind of a small hinge
Oh
that I'm
yeah,
using. So because the
cool.
TPU is nice, but it requires some strength,
Yeah.
and
Absolutely. No,
I don't want. Yeah,
this has
sorry.
been a concern from the start with the kinetic
Yeah.
hand, is that the TPU hinges require too much force when they're hand activated. So can you tell us a little bit more about this hinge that you've developed?
Yes, it's 3D printed. I don't know
Wow.
if you can see it. Let me add a bit of light.
I do see. Okay, so
It's
Xavier, this is, yeah,
printed in place, so it's printed like this. And when you and stick it from the bed, you might have to activate it a little bit so that it will be very smooth. And then I have designed some holes in the fingers so that they will adapt like that. That was a prototype, but in the final stuff there is a way here for the wire on top because as I said, you have an extra wire on top
yeah.
to unfold the fingers.
So,
So yeah.
so Xavier, obviously I've already put your presentation on the calendar, but Ian, correct me if I'm wrong, we do have a few minutes for this conversation, right?
Yeah. No, we got so
Okay.
two of the students are coming from a class that ended 2 minutes ago, so they'll be here
Okay, got it.
soon.
So Xavier, you've made a modified kinetic with replacing the joint mechanism.
Yes.
I understand that your project is not meant to be worn, but the kinetic is a beautiful hand, as you know, and yet it's not really useful for end users. So could you release a modified kinetic that people could use to eliminate the TPU? And of course, they'd need the pullback mechanism, but
Yeah.
I think that's a sweet spot that we've wanted for years.
Yeah, I tried to think about that, but I have not really found a way to pull back yet with the movement of the fist. So, but yeah, maybe I haven't spent long
How do you
enough.
pull back on the with the servos?
The servos, it's going one way or the other way. It's rotating one way to pull and another way
see.
to push back. So yeah,
Well, so we should talk about that, but I could imagine a spring mechanism to pull the fingers back, maybe with I've forgotten what we used to call it. Ian, you may remember um, the gizmo modeled after horse carriages that takes a single force and distributes among four fingers, right? This doesn't have to be sophisticated, but you could have one string. We'll talk about it, but
yeah, we have
I
to think
really
about
want
it.
to encourage you to think about that. It
Yeah,
really is something we need.
yeah,
Great.
yeah. I'd rather avoid a spring because it might have the same inconvenience as the TPU. You would have to fight the spring to fold the fingers at some point. So it might add some.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know.
I'll
Yeah,
think about it too.
it needs some more thinking, I guess. I haven't thought this through yet. So let me paste the repo, the GitHub repo in the chat.
Yeah, cool. We love
There it
Git.
is. And there should be a small video there demonstrating the voice control. Yes, there is.
Amazing. Thank you.
Thanks.
Exciting.
So I can contextualize. I see Yayuan here, who is the board fellow from our class working with e-NABLE. He's the project manager behind our NIH project. But maybe to set up for as the students get here in the next couple minutes, I can show sort of the context. So here's a plug for e-NABLE for Xavier, and I'm sure Kayla has seen this, but anyone also watching, you can go to lumio.com/enablio and you can get to this grant funding proposal, which is one of the lightest weight grant proposals that I've written, but it also has like huge community engagement. So you can see the history of projects. So I know like Sarah has a project now, and anyone in the community can propose a project where you need like a suggestion of a budget and some metrics of purpose and success and what the steps will be. But they're not like super difficult. The difficult thing is community engagement. So you post it, it stays up for a couple weeks. People give you comments and vote. Sarah's got a 96%. And then we have a community dialogue, and then it gets funded. And John, there's still a bunch of funding remaining for projects, correct?
There is indeed.
So looking for more ways to use this for good projects. And this is something that we've been talking about this NIH project for a while. So a year ago now, look at this. This is May 24. We put together this proposal for updating the NIH's 3D print exchange. So the idea was that we would get a student team and pay them hourly to develop a better place to sort for devices. So one of the pain points in e-NABLE is the device catalog is difficult to navigate, especially for newcomers and for advanced users. If we want to find something that we saw once and we forget where it was, there's not a great sort and search. It's a great repository. Like the content behind here is great. One of the challenges of being a global open source community is there's many designs that have varying levels of documentation, and that doesn't always correspond with their usefulness. Sometimes a super useful design is a file that isn't tagged well and is hard to find. So up here, we've got the top level recommended devices, which is great to start with. But if you click see all devices, you can see this huge repository of devices. And this is also not completely exhaustive. There are other devices that are comments, like Xavier, yours might be shared in a comment somewhere, or you might be working on it, but how do we actually curate and find it? So our team wanted to make that better. And we also wanted to put it somewhere that we thought would be like a window or a lens like into e-NABLE from another like big third party. So we thought a great place to do that would be on the NIH's 3D print exchange. So the National Institute for Health and Infectious Diseases has this 3D print repository, and there's various sections. And so we wanted to redesign the e-NABLE section to be more useful and be a portal into all of the other resources. So that's what our student team will present about in just a minute. But I see they're still joining here. And one of the things that I got interested in, so our makerspace was originally like an early member on the molecular models. So it's cool here. You can go into, like they've got the pathogen AR, and these are all sub collections. And we'd like to create like similar sub collections for e-NABLE. But in here, you can come in, you can grab a molecular shape, and they've got a great visualizer where we should be able to, right in browser, like play with that model, which is very cool. This is new technology their team's built in the last year or so. And then we can get to all the files. Like we could download the files and work directly with that. Another cool thing their site does is it converts file types, like right in the website. So there's a fair amount of additional features on their roadmap to make this a more functional site. And right now, e-NABLE has its own sub-collection here. And eventually, I think it would be great to have this be a little like go up a level, to have this be like open source assistive technology, and have e-NABLE again be a sub-collection with more sub-collections. But right now, our team has inherited a messy collection similar to the hub and is working to redesign it. And our team is Yeyuan is the project manager who's been working with e-NABLE since September as a board fellow, working with the leadership, attending meetings, and then has been project managing this grant to hire talented students to build this out. So Jenny and Ruby are the two student team working through June to improve this. So I'll let them take over. And Sarah, if you could give Jenny, Ruby, and Yeyuan screen sharing permission, they can tell us a bit about what they're working on, and then we can have some Q&A. And I know they'll have some questions for the group as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw that Ruby is now okay. Yeah, I think I can share my screen. I will go ahead and share my screen.
So it'd be great to know too, like what year you are, what program you're in for each of you as a starting point.
Is my screen shared?
Yes.
Yes, sure.
Great. Thank you, Ian, for the introduction. And also our project, basically just go through everything pretty clear. And hi everyone, great to meet you guys. I'm a second year MBA student and I take this course with Professor Ian Roy. And as he already introduced, I'm a board member with e-NABLE for this course, but it doesn't mean like after the course I will like my faith with e-NABLE already started and it will go on, I'm pretty sure. And yeah, Jenny and Ruby, if you guys want to just quickly introduce yourself.
Sure.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead, Ruby. You can
Okay.
go first.
Yeah. Hi guys. I'm Ruby. I'm a sophomore at Brandeis studying computer science, and I'm also the intern of e-NABLE, and I'm currently working on redesigning the searching interface of the e-NABLE sites in NIH 3D website. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. All right. Hi guys, I'm Jenny. I'm a graduated MSBA student at Brandeis, and I'm joining the team as an intern. And currently, I'm working on the web page diagnosis.
Great. I'll go ahead and talk about our project. So, as Ian already introduced, that currently the website is there. We have our own space on Edge City, but somehow we kind of need to reorganize it to make it more user friendly. But this project was initiated like last year, but due to like different issues, like the communication with NH team and stuff, we just kind of just kicked off everything uh like real 2 months ago. But and due to the funding issue, we can't really access the deep backstage of the NIH website, so we're not able to literally like redesign the website. But as you introduced, we can like our focus now is on the sub collection, so we're gonna make a sub collection like we're gonna make this collection more clear for the user. So if they're targeting a specific collection, they can just keep clicking it, and it's easier for them to find the things they want. And we already communicated with the Edge team that we're gonna upload the sub collections we wanted by next week, and they will help us to create those on the website. And like even though we just like kick off our project like a few months ago, but we've been doing stuff. We've been getting familiar with the most popular models like the kinetic hands. I know Xavier has a like advanced model, but yeah, we're also trying to get familiar with all the products so we know what we're working on. And we've been attending the town hall meeting and also uh like other get on the forums and upload the models on our own to just to try to figure out what problems we have on the website so we can just try like if we are not able to solve it, at least we can gather all the problems and put it in a wish list to deliver to either the NIH background team or the future teams who are gonna continue doing this project, just for them to like make it easier for them to take over. And we also have this days hack. So for those of you who doesn't know what it is, it's a hackathon we have at Brandeis University. We got like the whole weekend for a team to work on specific projects for organizations. And this year, luckily, we have a really fantastic team. Uh, they were also targeting these website problems. And they provided really nice insights, and we already contacted with them to get their thoughts into our final deliverables. And this is a simple timeline. So we're currently at this March period, which we will be creating the sub collections. Hopefully by we already have the idea. We're summarizing the pictures, the descriptions, and we will send it over to NH team, and hopefully they will help us. I think they committed a deadline by mid-April that they will, once they are like revising the whole website, they're gonna put our things on it. So by that time, the sub collections will be there, and all we need to do is to upload the reorganized the model into those sub collections. And for this project, our expected delivery by May will be the upload instructions. So one of the reasons why the website is kind of not that well organized is because there's no unified upload instruction. So when people upload their models, they don't have a unified structure. They probably miss some like parts. They didn't upload the materials, the printers they should use, something like that. So that's the cause of eventually the data or like the models are kind of not unified, and it will be hard for people to search it. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go through the upload instruction again and again to make sure that there will be a unified instruction for everyone. So in the future, our data will be more clean. There will be a problem summary, so not just the upload part, but also on the website. There are some bugs that we may need to fix, and we're browsing the websites and try to get all the problems, and we will come up with a summary. Jenny is working on that. She will show it later. We now have a draft already. And the sub collection side, we are already in the process. We'll probably get it by mid-April. And the web design proposal. So even though we're not able to like design the website to on our own, but still we kind of want to give a wish list like what this design is supposed to be. And Ruby is working like we're using Figma on the web design. Ruby will also show it later, just like what we're expecting the website to be. And if anyone also want to give us a feedback, that would be great. We will also add it on the on the draft. And eventually we hope we can have a sustainable plan. So if all of us like after we left this project, I hope we can still have this plan left over for those who are coming over, like taking over or build their own projects on this. It's easier for them to make it more sustainable. So now I think I will leave it to like I think Ruby, you can show the website first, and then Jenny, you can go ahead and show the problem summary we have for now. All right.
I'm gonna share my screen with you. Can you see my Figma page right now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is how my prototype for the website looks like right now. So the most thing I do is I redesign the filter and the searching method of the web page. So right now we have three methods to filter the search. We have the subcategory, which are the tested, recommended, and the community. I think Jenny is also working on creating the subcategories, and we'll send it to NIH, I think this week. And also the users can search by the functions, which is the like what's the models are used for, like if it's a finger or it's used for some incomplete arms or hand. And also user can filter by materials. And I think the most materials that are using right now are PLA or TPU. So that's the two categories of the materials. And also there's a function for users to select which uh which to be sorted by, like all the outcome can be sorted by the releasing time or the times of download, and also how related it is to the keywords. And yeah, that's how the filters looks like right now. And here are just some random examples, but not the actual like search result that could be output. And also I add a new function, which is the AI suggestions. It's like a chatbot here. Um, like my plan is that maybe the future team can implement like a GPT API so that the user can input like more natural like inputs demand or comment in a more natural way, and maybe the chatbot can respond with the recommendation and the reasons for that recommendation. And actually, I used like a GPT plugin in Figma, so that is actually the real response from the GPT. So I think that might be work if the future team can just implement the GPT's API. And so that might be the workable function. So I added here. And this is how the searching interface looks like. And so I think for this week or next week, I will try to add a family tree for all the models we have in the about section here. And it's actually just indicating the inheritance between all the models we have right now, but I haven't added that part yet. So yeah, that's what I have right now. And uh, if you have any like suggestions or questions about the filter I have, you can just bring it up. Do you have any questions?
I think it's beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah. You know, my question for all of you is, given the turmoil at NIH and the quality of what you've done, what happens if NIH fails to incorporate this? Is how much of this could be put, for example, on the hub if NIH, remains in turmoil? Or is that not an appropriate concern?
I think we heard that they have a project pause on new projects, but that they can continue existing projects. And this is an existing project. So, for example, like they're creating new collections, no problem. I think like right now we might not be able to add that chatbot function, but it's a great suggestion.
You
So,
bet.
the other part is if we standardize all of the data from the hub into this format, then we have it in a standard metadata schema that could be exported and imported anywhere. So I think this is a great container because there's an active developer team. They've got a great set of features. That's all approved and still being worked on. And if we ever wanted to port it out once we standardize it, it could be ported out. So, for example, the admin accounts that Ruby, Jenny, and Yeon have allow them to create new models and to change all of the current attributes within those models metadata schema that exists. Right now, we can't add new schema to that, but we can use any existing feature. So the current existing feature now is like new sub-collections. Now, the admin account can't make a sub-collection, but once it's created, they can fill it out and adjust all the things within it. So so short answer, I think it's a stable place to keep this stuff. And if we ever wanted to, you could port it out somewhere else. I don't think it's going away. I think it's just not adding new things at the moment.
I think it's great and beautiful work, everybody. And the next coming months are going to be critical, aren't they? Because you've finally gotten up to speed, but as is often the case, you graduate and disappear in the spring. Is that right?
Yeah, but it's gonna like all the expected deliverables, we're gonna get it by May. Yeah, no worry.
Okay. And Jenny, do you want to show a little bit of your thinking too?
About the website diagnosis, or
Yeah.
keep talking about the, okay, sure. All right, let me share my screen real quick. I don't have any slides or similar stuff so far, but it's a report like so I'm gonna just walk you through real quick for some of the website issues we've identified so far while working on the NIH 3D sites, and explain where we believe those improvements could be made in the future. So in the following weeks through the semester, we'll conclude these website issues to our final deliverables as well. So the very first issue we want to mention is the filtering system. So right now, filters like printer make or model and like filament materials aren't returning any results. So even for very common selections like PLA or like Prusa Mini, some filtering options, like they're just like returning blank results. And there are some options that oddly specific or irrelevant, like these in the picture. Like this is just a screenshot when I was like trying to test the filtering on my own. So this suggests that either the filter aren't properly connected to the database or the model entries are missing some key metadata. So it makes it really difficult for users to retrieve useful information. So that ties directly to the second issue we have here, which is the submission form limitations. So for now, when someone uploads a model, there's no required fields to input things like printer types or material information. So when that data is missing, filters don't work properly later on. So this is like connected. We recommend updating the submission form to make those fields mandatory, and it would help both the usability and overall organization. And the third one we noticed is inconsistencies in documentation. So some models have full instruction guides and printer specs, but others just have a few images or like no helpful documentation at all. And that makes the fabrication process harder, especially for new users. And a standardized templates could really help the quality across the board. And the next one is closely related to the previous issue. So the preview images are now not allowed by the site to upload. So the example I'm using here is a model I uploaded on my own. So here you can see the preview is quite like misleading. It's just like a barrel shaped random stuff, and you have no idea what that is. But if I show you like the actual picture of the finished piece, that's quite different, right? So that's basically caused by the current website's limitations that it didn't allow me to put this picture as the default preview prior to this. Now, currently, the website only allow me to use the first STL file I uploaded as a preview. It's quite ridiculous. So it's just like a random piece like of the model. So we have to fix that later. And lastly, it's just a quick mention. We believe there are some missing files and images of the kinetic hand model. And that model page is currently just broken. Let me see. Oh, we have a picture here. Great. So we're still kind of tracking what's going on behind all these. But basically, when we like type kinetic hand in the search box, it returns nothing. And after some basic diagnosis, we believe this is a backend related issue. Maybe somebody didn't type the input to the metadata or the database. So we can check with the NIH website administration later on and see if we can fix it. So this is it for now.
Thank you so much, Jenny. So
Jenny,
short term, really cool, right? Like I'm impressed.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Really great diagnosis. The question has to do with prescription and prophylaxis. It seems, right? It seems to me some of what you've identified are problems from sort of allowing anyone to upload anything. And another piece is that we would need some kind of in order to prevent it from prevent your site from degenerating, we're going to want some kind of vetting and curation workflow. Is that within scope? What's the plan there?
Yes, so the community designs will be the open bucket. the Wild West of the entire hub and all the comment section will be that community designs. And then staff who work with e-NABLE, like Jenny and Ruby and Aowan and others, will have control of recommended and tested section. Now, we thought recommended would probably be like leadership from the hub, and tested would be like Eric Bubar's printables. And there would be, so what they're working on now are descriptions for like what is each of those containers and why.
Nice. And I like that notion. So the hub becomes the workshop. There's a higher tier, which is recommended, and then there's sort of the museum and the glass case at the NIH 3D. Can anyone put it in the glass case, or can we control the uploading to NIH?
I think the community designs will be anyone who has an NIH account.
Sure.
And then the other ones will be restricted. The tested and
see. So you're
recommended
saying
are the glass case.
Okay. So NIH has community, which is anyone can upload.
Well, we can suggest what we want to call those. We can make any
Got it.
sub-collections that we want to suggest. That was what our team had thought about, but we're open to other recommendations.
So, okay. So at first I thought by community you meant the e-NABLE hub, but now I understand that there will be a community pool on the NIH website. That's nice, assuming that they remain functional and etc. Okay. And are you going to leave us with a workflow or something that makes explicit what you've just explained to me?
Yes, that is the deliverable that Yeon was talking about.
That's great.
There will be a
That's great.
step-by-step. And then the ongoing maintenance that I think like we're very committed to at the Brandeis Maker Lab is porting things as they come in to the hub into the community section. And then relying on town hall meetings or education meetings, whatever is appropriate for when a device gets elevated into the glass case.
Right. I think that's just fantastic. This is really quality work. Yawan, Jenny, and Ruby, thank you so much for what you're doing and the professionalism with which you're doing it, and Ian, the way you're managing it. If we can get this to go, and you'll notice I have this unease about students leaving or NIH collapsing and so on, but if we can make this stable and maintainable, it would be well worth, Ian, having one intern, a semester on an ongoing basis to play that critical curation role.
Yes, totally. And for people like Kayla, other universities, other students around the world, I think there's lots. We could get you admin accounts. We could eventually see a reason why there might be another category.
Right.
Like there could be a bionics category.
Oh, absolutely. Great.
So like this is a start of what could be a bigger conversation. And now we know how to get an admin account, how to add records, that we could use this tool more.
Okay. It's a good thing you're not graduating in the May, Ian.
I'll be here.
Okay.
We're building this up, make it more sustainable.
Thank you so much.
And I gotta especially thank Gayon for his thought leadership in this. It's been a long path to get here. And we've got a killer team now, and now we just got to land the ship. But it's been ramping up for a while.
Yeah, and I did notice. You're a senior, right?
I'm a second year MBA.
Second year MBA. So you're going to be moving on. But Ruby and Jenny, you may not escape, right? So that's some continuity.
Yep.
Great. It's a fantastic hour. I'm really inspired by what you're doing.
And if anyone has suggestions, I'll put my email in. Anything we talked about today, I'm happy to filter it to the team or to the Prosthesis Club or a suggestion for coursework or collaboration.
And Xavier, I'm looking forward to your wrist rotation suggestion. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing, that if you can get it to close this way, there ought to be some place to mount another string to do the inverse.
Yeah. With a pulley somewhere, it should be doable. Yeah, I'll try
Great.
to have a prototype soon. Yeah.
Did we get your email, Xavier?
No, but I can give it to you, of course.
If you would.
Sure.
This e-NABLE thing, There's all of this wonderful work happening intermittently all over the world. When I do manage to come to a meeting, or when everything comes together, I'm once again impressed by how much is actually going on. But the fact that these are all of these little pockets of competence and secrecy is a constant challenge. We really have to just keep on working on it. Thank you, Xavier.
Welcome. I have a question about the AI assistant in the redesign of the website, because I think it's a great idea that we didn't have at e-NABLE France, because I'm a member of e-NABLE France board. And we recently released a website for all aids, not only limbs, but any kind of aids for maybe blind people or deaf or deaf people. And I think it would be great to have this AI assistant in it. So I would ask you if you mind if we steal your idea and maybe try to do something on that website.
Yeah, sure. I'm happy to share this
Great.
idea. And
Great.
I think if you're trying to design the website or something in Figma, you can just use the plugin I used. That's called Canville. I can share it in the chat. It's a free plugin, and it can implement the GPT-4o's API so that you can actually see the output from GPT.
Great, thank you.
And Figma is free for education, and it's instant. If you have an EDU account and you go on that link I put there, you don't have to wait. You can select your university, and like within seconds you have the full tool. And for anyone, you can have like 2 designs, I think, for free. And then the pro version gives you just more designs.
I wonder if they have something for not EDU nonprofits, like, I don't know, e-NABLE.
I'm not sure, but no matter what, you get 2 designs for free, and they've been quick to give feedback from their support.
Great. Great.
That's so cool that it's actually live GPT prompts on the plugin. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I was so surprised that there's a plugin.
What is Canville? Is that the name of the API or something? Or?
Yeah. It's not an API, it's a plugin of Figma, and it's actually just it can implement the real output from GPT's API. Like,
and then the name
yeah.
Canville is your name or their name?
Canville is the plugins. Yeah.
Got it. Nice.
You can search it in Figma. Yeah. It's a really cool tool.
We've been using Figma a lot more because Jamboard deprecated Google's Post-it note tool, and Figma was one of the top recommendations to replace it as a noodling and Post-it note tool. And what we like about that is we were already using Figma for app mockups. So now you can do your mocks for mobile apps, your mocks for web, and your Post-it note editable thing. And you can have like 50 people in a Post-it note document. It's pretty nice.
And does it happen to, well, I'll look into it. Sounds really cool. Okay. Is this a 1-hour meeting that has gone 10 minutes over, or a 90-minute meeting which still has 20 to go?
We've gone over.
It's a 1 hour.
Happy to have additional conversation.
Yes. Thank you. Inspired and hopeful.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Ian, and the
everyone.
students. And
Thanks, everyone.
Awesome. Amazing.
And nice to meet you,
Thank you.
Xavier and Kayla.
Thank
Hopefully
you.
we'll see
Thank
you in
you.
the
Thanks,
future.
everyone.
And come back on April 15th for Xavier's presentation.
Oh, I can't wait. The hand is so cool.
18th.
18th. Okay, good.
Yes.
Thank you.
Right.
Bye.
Have a great weekend,
John,
everyone.
I'm wondering if
I
I
tried
could
to
just
be on
speak with
time.
you a couple minutes about